Market's unstable. We're moving now.
Move! Clear the perimeter!
Everything's dropping!
They're still trying to fix things.
Has everyone in position? Mid-war is no time for hesitation. Confirm now! Nothing's going right. This is a supply-side red chaos. Almost there. Just one more turn. The key! No! Almost there. Cutting wire now. If you were in the right place at the right time, things would be so much easier.
Getting a passive return out in the market has become mission impossible at the end of the day. I'm Alden Guajardo with Mobile Mailbox Money. Today is Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. People are liking these case studies of the notes in our portfolio. So I'm going to talk about another note that we currently have performing with Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, Reg D 506C, Accredited Investor Fund, private credit in affordable housing in a time when it's needed most, providing an income-oriented investment strategy to IRA, solo 401k, or really just high net worth investors wanting a monthly income, monthly or quarterly at 10% return for a 1-year term paid monthly, 12% for a 3-year term paid quarterly, emulating a Warren Buffett investment strategy. So let me show you a note that's actually performing inside the portfolio right now. This is La Montana Del Sur, lot 169, and we currently have another note that we did recently within this same park. We've done about 4 or 5 transactions in this same community across the street. Kind of same thing in Casa de Francisco here in the Phoenix market. But this note, it's an $86,500 note producing $11.39 a month on a 20-year term. That's a higher than average yield out in the market, backed by performing collateral, first lien position in the Phoenix market, desirable area. This manufactured home is in a family park. So, wide variety of individuals seeking affordable housing that have small families and things of that nature. What does a note purchase look like? Because really, you're not buying a home, you're buying a financial instrument or becoming a per unit owner. Share in our portfolio in performing seller finance notes, first liens, senior debt. So outside of complications in long-term real estate investment strategies, you're buying a collateral file in layman's terms. So that's what this looks like. You get automatic funds transfer service documents, a promissory note, the closing documents, the contracts, the lien position, very important. This buyer borrower went through 2 rounds of underwriting in order to facilitate the financing. With the loan documents, you get the photos, the settlement statement, as this was over $50,000 and went through a title company, and then making sure taxes and insurance are paid. For a participation in this note, and I may not have been sharing my screen there, just kind of go back through these photos. At 86.5, this isn't hypothetical at the end of the day. Let's see if I can get my screen to work here. There we go. At 86.5, this isn't a hypothetical position. This is not projected. This is a live cash flowing note. The borrower is in place, the payments are being made, and it's backed by real housing. So when you look at something like this, you're not buying a property, you're stepping into a financial instrument. And that's the shift most people missed. They're focused on appreciation, focused on flips, focused on timing the market. We're focused on creating income. My objective is not really to go out and buy, rehab, and seller finance these homes. I'm trying to get to the bow of capital investment in a note that's created, a note created with this full collateral file, as I said before, at a higher than average return. We acquired the asset, we improved it, we sold it on terms, all for this, to get to this file, and we cash flow with not having to worry about fluctuations. A lot of stuff going on in the stock market currently, and people are scared, have money in money markets accounts, and things of that nature, and the want for safety, stability, and security. So here's why that matters. Affordable housing is a real demand here in the nation, not only just in my local market, but also in other markets as well. Let's see if I can get my screen to work. There we go. Demand in affordable housing are not yielding luxury buyers at the end of the day. These are people who need a place to live, so they stay, they pay, and they protect the asset, in a much needed asset class in the nation. For them, if they can match or beat market rent in ownership in a home just like this here in the Phoenix market, that's a winning equation. So altogether, what you have is a borrower with skin in the game, a first lien position, a fixed payment stream, and income backed by real housing. So when you hear $86,000 paying $1,139 a month, just understand that's not rent. That's a performing note. And once you understand that, you stop chasing deals and you start building cash flowing paper. This note and other notes just like it were transacted through Mobile Mailbox Money. Mobile Mailbox Money has notes immediately available for non-accredited investors who want to earn an above average return for terms as low as 1 year to 20 years. If you buy the whole note, you make the full yield at the end of the day. If you are really not so much a note investor and just looking for a passive rate of return, at a 1 year term, you could get a double-digit interest rate hypothecated, which means to pledge an asset in order to garnish capital investment. What Silvercrest is the set it and forget it position. It's virtually like putting money in the bank account, but making double the interest in comparable CDs or bonds, and low yield mutual funds at the end of the day. To start earning interest in as little as a 30-day program is hard to find. Our diversification is wide across the valley. In Silvercrest, we have homes in the Mesa, Tempe, Phoenix, Glendale, and Apache Junction market. So well diversified from Glendale to Tempe to Mesa. This home is in the South Mountain area. These aren't in one park. They're diversified across the valley where all of our bells and whistles touch with Wynn Mobile Homes, license 8670, the largest dealer of manufactured housing in Arizona. So most people ask, are these in one park, or what's the diversification within the portfolio? This is all across the valley in one of the highest demand markets with little natural disaster risk. And even if there were a natural disaster situation, all the homes are insured. So bank quality stability in positions from 30,000 to about 110. So at $1 million, literally 1.56 million, we're currently receiving $19,000 a month in passive cash flow. So I've got a couple meetings this morning in the next 20 minutes, have a couple investor callbacks. We have a note immediately available at 96.5, paying $1,200 a month in first lien position for a 1 year term. That's at mobilemailboxmoney.com. I'm looking for a participant today, an accredited investor to invest in the fund, so I can either absorb that note into the fund or sell it to a happy individual, possibly raising capital to leverage high yielding positions. That's one step closer to financial freedom. What do we call that? Mobile Mailbox Money. Today's brought to you by Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. Invest accredited and start earning interest in as little as a 30-day program.